Hello and welcome. My name is Lucas Rowell and I am your host. Very excited to have you all here with us today for episode 2, Fitness, Mindset, and Peak State. Each show, our objective is to give you the tactics behind the strategy so you can immediately put into practice what you've learned because measurable actions lead to measurable results. So I am super excited to introduce my co-host and very special guest for today's episode. This one I have known for a very long time. We came up from playing Three Ninjas and Army men out in the woods of Maine to this strapping, fit individual that you see here in front of you today. So please help me welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. John Fitness Janson. What's up, my brother?
Hey, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, so excited to jump into this today. Not only because you're an absolute badass, and we know each other for such a long time. It's been incredible to see. Like I'm so excited. I'm so excited for our guests to, and our listeners to hear just kind of where everything's gone. But you're absolutely doing some amazing, incredible things, and really excited to jump into the show and showcase and chat about some things that really right now are super important with what's going on. Really in the world.
Absolutely. Well, I'm stoked to be here. Ready
go
to
ahead, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Outstanding. So how are you doing, brother? What's been going on? What's been going on in your life between then and now?
So back then, I think I met you and your brother. I think I was 2. You guys were the first people that I knew as friends. So since then, did a few things, been around the block. So I went to University of New Hampshire after high school, studied finance and economics, and then took a turn and decided I would go into teaching for a little bit. So I moved over to China.
To China?
The country, not the town in Maine. Moved over to China for a year, and I taught English to like 6th, 7th, 8th graders. Which was wild, absolutely wild. But that's a different podcast for a different day. I got hours to talk your ear off on that.
So is there a bunch of little Chinese kids over there with a northern accent?
Yeah, they say wicked, and they say aya, and all that good stuff. Yeah, for
outstanding.
Sure. So yeah, while I was there, I met up with these 2 guys. One was from Britain, one was from Ireland. And we started lifting together, and so that was the big catalyst for me. I'd already gotten into fitness a little bit in college, running, doing Tough Mudders, stuff like that. But these guys really got me into lifting, and that's when I started to see my body composition change. Right, like I was like, oh, I'm starting to look like those guys in magazines. Like that's what I want to look like. So did that for a little bit, and when I moved home, I was like, okay, how do I take the skill that I have that is teaching with this passion that I have that is lifting and fitness and put it together. And that's, working at a gym, being a personal trainer. So that was 2014. So I've been working at a gym since then, a couple gyms along the way. But for the last 7 years, working at Iron Legion Strength Co. up here in little Westbrook, Maine, and we're doing our thing. So.
Very cool, brother. So what does your position currently look like? Are you lifting every day? Are you helping people lift, or where's that kind of evolved to?
Yeah, so obviously I started off. We were a very small, kind of like boutique personal training gym, just a few coaches, and so I worked my way up. I had 30 plus sessions a week, that kind of thing, which is kind of an average for us. And in the last 2 years now, I've transitioned over to more of a management position. So I'm managing all the new coaches, or all the coaches, I should say, onboarding new coaches, training a few clients still, and I'm also helping facilitate when new clients come on board, helping them get set up with a coach and get the ball rolling. So I've got, a hand or a pot on every burner, if you will, right? So I'm doing a little bit of everything right now.
Outstanding, man. Outstanding.
Yeah.
So kind of jumping into, right, so today with, the fitness, the mindset, the peak state, right, all of these things, intermingle, and they all support each other in one way or another, and really, I think, help bring it full circle. Would you agree? Each one is important to the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you just give your definition of what peak state is, so that people know what you're talking about? So I've got a good feel of what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So, and we'll get into this here in a few, but peak state, what we mean by peak state, when I say that to John, and when we came up with the title of the episode, is really feeling the best you that you can, where you feel like there is absolutely nothing in this world that can stop you. There could be barrier after barrier after barrier, and it doesn't freaking matter. You're over, under, through, around. You're going to figure out a way to get through. There's absolutely nothing that is going to stop you. That's at least my definition of peak state.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I mean, that's honestly like our, so one of our main slogans at the gym is lift heavy, be kind, which I've got on my shirt here. But our real, our mission statement at the gym is empowerment through strength. Right. And so how can we as a gym, as individual coaches, help influence our clients, and not just our clients that we see every day, but the people that we are coming into contact with, through social media or in person? How can we find ways to exactly that, help them get to that peak level? And our focus is mostly on, lifting with correct form and building up your physical strength. But through that physical strength, that's obviously going to lead to mental fortitude. That a lot of people, it's there and it wants to come out, but they don't really uncover it until they start to actually do something that's physically demanding, and start to realize oh, okay, there's a lot more that I can do. I'm capable of much more than I ever thought was possible. And that's absolutely our empowerment through strength is, right on line with your peak state there.
Outstanding, brother. And I really love that, because that's a lot of times we put these false boundaries for ourselves, right? These barriers that we're like, oh, I couldn't do that, or oh, I don't know if I could get there, or oh, how are they doing that? Like how does one get to that level of being able to accomplish?
Exactly. And so obviously you do run into real barriers, right? I'm in a position right now where I don't have kids. Right, so I can dedicate 3 hours a day to working out, because it's what I do. I'm a gym manager and I don't have kids, and I got this and that. But we've talked about it before too. You've got to wake up early to get your stuff in, because that's before the kids get up. So having that mental ability to just say, hey, you know what? I've got to get this done. I need this for me. I'm going to do it. That's huge.
Outstanding. I love it. Creating that anchor and figuring out what's most important to you, so you can get into that peak state, and that peak state can support or be the foundation for the rest of your day, right?
Totally. Yeah.
All right. So let's circle back to get right back kind of into some of the things, some of the questions that we had. And one of the very first would be, so as far as fitness is concerned, right? I know we've kind of jumped into it a little bit, but what does that really mean to you, right? I know it means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but when you hear fitness, like where's that for you?
So me personally, I mean, like I was saying, when I lived in China, I met with those guys, we started lifting. So fitness was always, for a long time, just my ability to lift, right? Staying healthy, because if you're not healthy, you don't have the consistency and you start to lose progress. So staying healthy and lifting more. That was always my goal for a long time. But in the last 2 years, I've started also swimming once a week. And I hike at least once a week, maybe every other week, out in the White Mountains in New Hampshire usually, with a couple of friends. So, now my personal definition of fitness has really evolved to, how can I be as strong as possible, because I still want that to be, if a friend calls me up and says, hey, I need help moving, okay, cool, I can do that. But also, we're going to go hike this 4,000-foot mountain, like, let's do it. Oh, and we only have this much time, so let's hustle. So it's a very interesting blend of cardiovascular fitness with hiking and swimming, but also the muscular strength. And it kind of just comes down to, that's my definition of it, but for everybody it's going to be different, right? We've got clients who are, I want to say she's around 80, 82 years old, one of our clients. And so her definition of fitness is making sure she can get up and down the stairs, maybe, and playing with her grandchildren, or something along those lines, where it's not going to be hiking a 12-mile mountain, but, just getting through the day with fewer aches and pains. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits to hiring a personal trainer, too, little plug for myself here, is the customization, right? Because if you come up to us and you say, here are my goals, here are my restrictions, I've got this job, I've got 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what can we fit in and where, and how do we build out a program that says, all right, Luke, in 6 months we'll be measurably closer to your goal of doing X, Y, Z thing. So
outstanding.
That's a roundabout way of defining fitness, but it is unique to everyone. But it's also fun to see how it evolves for people over time, too. And we've had a lot of clients for many years where their definition of fitness has evolved from I want to lose weight to I want to get stronger to I want to win a powerlifting competition. That's a big change for somebody who came in a few years ago and it's like, I just want to lose 10 pounds. Big mentality shift there.
For sure. And for those people as well, I'm sure that just not only just in the, in the form of fitness, but how do you see their confidence level changing? How do you see their stature, the way that they really attack life when you see someone that came in from, hey, maybe I just want to shed, 10 pounds for beach season to now I'm doing, I want to go in and do powerlifting competitions. What does that do for them? Like, what's that look like?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome to see, and it also helps that we have such a great supportive community, right? So there's actually a powerlifting competition tomorrow. A few of our clients and a few of our coaches are participating in, and it's an open to the public kind of competition. But you best believe that our gym has the biggest showing, right? All of our people are coming to support whoever, even if it's just one person competing. We have like a 10-to-1 ratio, like 10 guests to one person competing. So the community helps a lot, but individually, even you take it out of the gym realm, and again, they've over the couple of years they've been training, they build up that mental fortitude, and they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do night classes. I'm going to change jobs. I'm going to ask for that promotion. And just seeing that kind of stuff, that's pretty unreal. Like watching somebody go to a powerlifting meet is awesome, but then watching somebody actually truly change what their life structure looks like is mind-blowing, and it's very humbling too. I started as a personal trainer when I was 24. I have zero life experience at that point. But over the years, I've grown because of my clients, but they've grown because of me. And so being able to see them get to whatever their next level is, that's pretty awesome. That's
for sure.
Very one of my favorite parts of the job, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that with us. So it's a solid symbiotic relationship, and it reaffirms the things that you're teaching. You're saying, oh, wow, what I was saying was working. What we were doing is working. Right. Let's figure out how to continue to multiply off of that, tweak it, continue to grow, and continue to use that to help others succeed.
Exactly.
Outstanding. So we're kind of getting, and this is kind of interesting, right? So our flagship episode was setting meaningful, obtainable yearly commitments, goal setting recharged, right? Yeah. And we're getting to that time of year, right, where a lot of people set those New Year's resolutions. They may be getting to that point of year where they're not staying as consistent as they wanted to. They're following out of routines. What type of advice would you give to someone who's trying to stay with those fitness goals that they set, but maybe haven't made it a commitment yet, or maybe don't have that support system? Like, what are some of the things that maybe you could give them advice on to help them continue to stay on those?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think one of the things, you guys probably don't see it as much down in Florida, But, up in Maine, we definitely have beach season, and then we have not beach season. And beach season is about 2 months long up here. And in Florida, it's pretty much year-round. So up here, people want to get beach ready, right? Down in Florida, my boss actually owned a few gyms in Miami years ago. And so he would always tell us about this. But, it's always beach season down in Florida. You always have to be in shape. Up here, you can take the winter off. And then all of a sudden, come, March or April, you're like, oh, shit. Summer break is coming up in 2 months. The kids are off. We're going to be at the beach. I got to go. And so, going back to those New Year's resolutions, it's like that's when you needed to commit. It was in, January 1st to get ready for June 1st, if you will. And one of the biggest things I see, obviously committing to a resolution is great, but the big, grand, sweeping gesture is usually also the least likely to continue. If you can make those small incremental changes over time, it's so much easier to maintain. None of the coaches that I have worked with or do work with or have met along the way, none of them just poof did it all, right? It was a learning process, just like with any job, just like becoming a parent. You don't know it all right up front. You got to learn it. So, the January 1st resolution is great, but what were you doing for the few months prior to that? And what will you be doing a few months after that? And, it's one of those things, if you fall off the wagon and have a really fun Friday night, well, instead of continuing your binge through the weekend, you got to reset Saturday morning, it's the small things. Don't just
you gotta
say,
pay the
I'll
piper.
restart Monday. Right. Don't say, I'll restart Monday. Say, I'll restart now. And so it's those small changes. It's, yes, being in the best shape of your life by summer would be great, but what can you do today that you can do every day for the next 6 months to a year, forever? So it's those small incremental changes. That's where you're going to see the most bang for your buck. Unfortunately, those also take time.
Right.
But those are going to be the longest lasting changes that you can make.
So what you're saying is the millimeter shift, right? The millimeter shift, the little wins lead to the bigger wins. Not to look at the. Some may like this analogy, some may not. But a long time ago, one of my mentors, I was having a difficult problem, and I went to him like, "Oh, this it." He's like, "All right, slow down. All right, Lucas, how do you eat an elephant?" And I was like, What do you mean? How do I eat an elephant? He's like, "How do you eat an elephant?" And I said, "I don't know." He goes, "One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Let's take this one step at a time. Let's break it down into its smaller pieces. Yeah. It doesn't have to be this huge, right? We can have the macros, but the thing is with the macros is every macro is made up of micros, right? Yep. A house is not, it's a house. It's a big house. It takes up a lot of space, but it's made up of little pieces.
Little individual nails and boards.
And when they all come together, they do something incredible.
Right. So it's the patience and the wherewithal to say, hey, you know what? I can live with these two small changes. Mm-hmm. And I know I won't see results from them for maybe 6 months.
Right.
But if I commit to it forever and I can live with those changes, then I'll see what I want to see given enough time. But it doesn't break the bank and you don't give up. That's the biggest thing, not stopping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the law of compounding in its full nature, if you will.
Right. Well, and what's the old, if you've got real estate agents making cold calls, I think there's a breakdown to it. It's like for every 50 cold calls you might make, you might get 10 responses and one sale, right? Or something to that effect. So just because the first cold call that you made didn't pan out doesn't mean you stop. It means you make 49 more to get that one winner.
Outstanding.
That's just how it goes. Yeah.
And you don't just go through the reps. You make every single rep count, right?
Exactly. That's huge. The warm-up is just as important as your top set.
That's where I see, and this is something actually we were talking about the other day with the team, with my real estate team. Is we're chatting through, you know, our founder Robert has this really great Winston Churchill quote, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher it because I don't know the whole thing off the top of my head, but the main the main idea of it is. The difference between winners and losers is winners are able to go from loss to loss to loss without loss of enthusiasm, right?
Yes.
And that's where people get stuck. They're like, oh, well, I made 30 calls. But if you look at it, the first no, you had a little bit of degradation, right?
Right.
And then the second one, a little more. And then before you know it, now you're just going through and you're like, well, if I get to 30, maybe I'll get one. But you may miss that opportunity because you're not giving every single one of those 30 120%.
Exactly. And it's hard to do, but you have to really truly understand. And again, it's one of those things that comes with more practice. But if you've succeeded in that fashion once before, you understand, oh, okay, it's doable. So, tomorrow when I show up to work, I know I need to give 120% to each of those calls, and I'm more likely to get that one winner. But until you actually see it happen, it's hard to actually go with it, to believe it.
Oh, for sure. Well, and so then would you say you talk a lot about community? So community is a big part of that continued group coaching, that accountability, all that kind of ties in together. Would you say to help with that next step of that adventure?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a few. I could go off on real big tangents about community. I'll try to keep it concise though. There's a few books that I've read recently that are, they really expound on the virtues of being part of a tight-knit community. And I think that's one of the things that I don't really know where you live, but like in my neighborhood, I think I know the names of 2 of my 8 neighbors. And, that's just as much my fault as it is their fault for not, I see them across the road, but I don't introduce myself. But, we have that sort of distance in our day-to-day life. That's, I'm driving down the road and I've got a pane of glass between me and them. And I'm in my car, they're getting into their car, they're in a rush, I'm in a rush. So one of the big benefits to not just our gym, but most gyms, CrossFit does this really well too, is they build that community and it gives you that sense of belonging, right? So you show up for a workout, but it's your community event, right? You get to interact with other people, you get to make relationships, professional or personal relationships. You meet your chiropractor. How many people have, one of my best friends married the guy that she met at CrossFit. Like, that's awesome, because they just went to the same gym together. They fell in love and they're happy and it's great. So like having that kind of community, it'd be great if you could show up to the gym every single time and give it 100%. But we both know that's not true. You can't give 100% every single time, especially with workouts. Sometimes your body's just wiped out. But when you show up anyway, 75% is a heck of a lot better than 0%. And it's that community that keeps people coming back. Because without it, they're just like, I can do without. But they really want to see Susie and their trainer and catch up with this person. So they're going to go. And
right. And they might get that text, right? Like, yo, bro, where you at?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't want to come today either.
Right. But here we are. So getting it done is always better than not. And that community aspect of it is just, it's missing in so many various parts of our lives. So having it at the gym, I know, is really beneficial for a lot of our clients and people all over.
So with those difficult tasks then, right, we look at working out and a lot of us are like, oh, it's difficult, and that we begrudge it, right? And the same with really anything, prospecting, building our business, focusing on the things that push us outside of our comfort zones regularly, right? We want to stay within our comfort zones. That's why they're called comfort zones. But having that community there, having that those people that kind of push you along. That's again, like we're talking about, right? That's that millimeter shift. That's that.
Yes.
And a lot of times I know with me when I get up, I'm like, God damn it, I gotta work, and I start, but then you start getting going and you get momentum and you're like, oh, all right, and it's not just, you're like, all right, you maybe you set the bar low because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in anything, right?
Today. Yep.
And then you get into it, and then before you know it, you're absolutely crushing it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and so much of that too is also routine. Right, so it's having the community aspect of it to show up. It's having the, knowledge of the millimeter shift, but it's also building a routine. I start a lot of my workouts off with jump rope. It might only be a minute or two, but that's sort of my mental click of it's workout time, and I start to get into the groove there. And this is relatively new for me too. I haven't jump roped in quite a while, so. But it's super, super helpful. Same thing at the end of the day, when I'm done with work and I turn off my laptop, before I go to bed, I like to read because that's my turn-off switch, right? It's time to read and unwind and get ready for sleep. So it's having those kind of cues, those little triggers as part of your routine to help get that mindset shifted into action.
Outstanding. I love that. The little anchors, the little pattern interrupts.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So I know we just chatted, we started to allude a little bit about it, but let's jump right into it. So how important would you say morning routine is?
Morning routine, I mean, it's like with anything, or any part of the day. But if you don't get off to the right foot, it can definitely be detrimental, right? I mean, just like you said, you get up and you work out first thing. And I'm sure there are days that you miss. I'm sure your day feels really weird when you don't get those workouts in, right?
Oh, yeah.
I like...
It's completely thrown.
Absolutely. My day starts off a little slower. I just go for, have some tea, have some coffee, do some reading or, a little bit of writing or whatever. But it's just my, 15, 20, 30 minutes to check in and take stock of the day and get everything ready and lined up. And on days that occasionally you have to throw your routine out the window, and those days are always just rushed and hectic, and I feel like I'm just fumbling that entire day. So having that routine, I feel like, well, at least I know I've got this under control, and the rest of my day is set up, and then we'll just take it how it comes.
So you get your little anchor in. You say, hey, listen, I'm going to be able to control this one particular aspect of my day. And knowing the rest of the day could go to absolute hell, nothing could line up, but at least I know if everything's falling apart, I can go back to that one particular anchor, that one piece that went right to help continue things on track.
Yeah, it's a good reference point, and it's a good, like you're getting at, I think, it's a good way to be able to, if you have a few minutes to reset when your day is, going south, if you have a few minutes to reset, you can go back to that and say, okay, where did I leave off? If you make a list or whatever your morning routine is, okay, well, I did manage to get this done, and I've got to do these two other things before I can call it quits for the day or whatever. So having that ability to kind of reset and pull yourself back together, that's always super helpful.
So having some flexibility, understanding that sometimes things aren't going to go right, but if they go off the track, you don't just throw everything in and say, okay, we're all done. It's, all right, well, what can we salvage? We had this win, right? We go back. What else can we bring in? What other small wins can we get to maybe get that momentum going, right? That workout that we didn't want to have, but now we've got the momentum, or whatever task that was. So now we start getting a little bit of micro momentum, and maybe we can get the day back on track.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge.
Awesome.
That's huge.
So, all right, so morning routine's important. And everyone's going to look different, right? Creating that anchor, creating whatever that is for you, introspection. Some people meditate, pray, go for walks, light jog, whatever. But that for you, so what you're saying is that regardless of what it is for people, they need to get something in, some kind of time for themselves before they put on everyone else's oxygen mask.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's the perfect analogy there too, is put your oxygen mask on first, make sure that you've got your things under control, everything's in check, and then you go from there. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely some days, I don't know about you, but last week for me was just one of those weeks where nothing went according to plan, but everything got done, you know? So I had that moment to check in, I had my coffee, got my day planner all set for the day, and then as things fell apart, I just said, well, that's okay. You know, we'll either, it can get pushed to tomorrow, you know, if it's a rescheduling with a client or whatever, or, you know, I can do it out of order, I can flip-flop things, you know, you just have to be able to take it as it comes.
Adjust in the field as needed. Have your structure to set the day up so you know what to expect, but expect that there are things that are going to go awry, and you need to remain, as they say in the military, to be able to adjust in the field as needed, where needed.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
It's crucial. And it's going to look different for everybody, like you said.
Okay. So let's say that I've got my morning routine down, and I'm starting to get some momentum. Like, what are some other things that I can do to help level up my current fitness? Obviously, there's more to going to the gym than just going around and like, you know, throwing stuff around. Like, what are some things that if I was a listener, I'm like, hey, I really want to get my fitness to that next level. I feel like I'm plateauing. Like, what could I do?
Well, I think one of the words you used, you said like micro routine or something like that. Mm-hmm. And again, you know, I've built my life around exercise, but I have micro workouts that I would do. So usually after got my coffee, read or journal, set up my day planner, I'll do 10 or 15 minutes of light movement. Whether it's, you know, if I'm seeing a physical therapist right now to work on some knee pain I'm having. So it's a few of the exercises he's prescribed, or it's, you know, 15 minutes of yoga or light stretching. It's those little itty bitty things. Again, it doesn't have to be this massive, I'm going to have a 3-hour kick-ass workout, where you can't do that every day. So I get 10, 15 minutes of this little stuff. And then later when I go to work out, I'll still do a warm-up, but I know I've already done my little things, right? It's like eating, you got to eat your vegetables. I don't know how many times I didn't eat my vegetables, and your parents probably swore at me under their breath. But I do eat my vegetables now, and having those little workouts, doing the little stuff. You know, everybody's got the achy shoulder, the low back pain. Well, there's little things you can do to help prevent that, especially if you're sitting at a desk all day. What kind of stretches can you do to help undo all that sitting? You do that for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch. That can have a really big compounding effect over time. And then once you do get to your workout, if it's later in the day, your workout you don't feel as crunchy or as rusty getting into your workout, right? So building in those small routines. It's not the big stuff. This is what we're talking about today. It's none of it's the big stuff, right? It's every individual nail in this wall behind me that put up the house and that I can live in it. But it's not going to be this big, massive workout. It's the little things that you do along the way, either in the morning, midday, maybe it's after work because you've worked out in the morning already. Whatever it is, if you can sneak in those little ones, that's going to build up, and really, it's going to help you see more results later on.
Okay, so then, at the end of the day, it's the micros.
Exactly. Other small ones you can do is just add in 10-minute walks. Right? If you have a dog, even better. But just get up at lunch and go for a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be a friggin' marathon. Just move and get outside. And if it's sunny out, great, you get some vitamin D too. But it doesn't have to be this 30-minute power walk. Just move a little bit. That's where it all adds up.
I love it. Breaking up the monotony, right?
Yes. Absolutely. That's the other thing too.
So this is one of the things that I use pretty regularly.
Okay.
So one of and I know there's a lot of different, everyone, you know, all these different productivity hacks. Everybody has, you know, what was that movie? 6-minute abs. You can't do 6-minute abs, right? But like 20, so chunking things up like into 25 minutes, right? And saying, okay,
Yes.
I'm hyper focused for 25 minutes and I'm going to take a 10-minute. So maybe that would play into kind of like what you're talking about. So if I'm working at my desk, I'm like hyper focused 25 minutes and then I could get up and do like some calisthenic kind of stuff. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Exactly. Yeah, even if it's just 10 minutes of stretching, or you just get up, walk to, fill up your water bottle, go to the bathroom, come back, do 1 or 2 stretches. Because, how often, do we find ourselves doing this kind of thing? So you just throw in some neck stretches. You don't even have to get up for some of them, but just stuff to stay loose and just counteracting. But I really love that. That was one of my study tactics in college. I wouldn't study for more than 30 minutes at a time. But I'd study like 6 times a day if I had a test coming up for 4 days.
Okay.
But it never felt like a burden.
Okay.
Because it's 30 minutes. You don't get burnt out after 30 minutes. So I'd review 1 page of notes or do a couple of questions on the practice guide or whatever it was. And then I'd take a break, grab some food, whatever. It doesn't have to be a long break, and come back to it. Mm-hmm. And I did pretty well in college. So not saying that was the only secret.
You chunked it out.
Absolutely. And obviously, with a full-on workout, you have to just do the workout. It might be 45 minutes or an hour. You just got to do it. But you can chunk out the mobility stuff and the stretching and the small physical therapy movements, that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 3, 4, 10-minute blocks.
Okay. So that actually brings up an interesting question, and I know we haven't talked about this before, so I'd be curious to see. So when you're seeing workouts, right, and I know there's a lot of different, just like the 6-minute abs, right? Everybody has a different hack or a different way to do a particular workout. But like when you're going in, do you have days where like, okay, today is only arm day, today is only chest day, or do you like to rotate things in? Like how do you from a fitness standpoint, from a trainer standpoint, look at the differences in those two workouts, like CrossFit versus focusing on one particular muscle group for an entire workout?
Sure. I've always been a big proponent of full body exercises. And for sure, I've done chest day and arm day and leg day and stuff like that. And I still have, I split them up into like upper and lower body workouts usually. Mm-hmm. So I get a hike in once a week usually. So that's pretty much a lower body workout, right? So the day after that, I usually try and schedule my swim as like a full body cardio workout. It's a good way to kind of relax and unwind from a big hike. I do a lower body workout, which it's not just legs or quads or glutes, but it's going to be core, working my calf muscles a little bit, keep those healthy for hiking. And we break it down, a lot of the coaches at my gym break it down by movement pattern as opposed to by exercise. So instead of having a bench press day, it would be an upper body pushing day. So that could be bench press, push-ups, could be overhead pressing, could be one arm, could be 2 arm, could be dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells. There's so many different implements. I like to do it that way because it also gives you a little bit of flexibility. So if I'm feeling a nagging injury, or if a client were to walk in with something, we can say, okay, well, instead of doing this movement, we can stay in that same genre, but do a different movement, get the same effect with no pain. Oh, and by the end of the workout, you're actually feeling better. Right? So having that flexibility, but not being, having a general guide, but having flexibility within that allows you to work around life's aches and pains. So yeah, I would go with an upper body and a lower body. I'll do that twice a week. I hike, I swim, and then, once or twice a week I might do like a 20-minute little HIIT circuit or something like that, burpees, tire smash, kettlebell swing, those kind of movements.
Outstanding.
And not for super long, but just to get my heart rate up and get a good sweat going.
So mixing things up a little bit, making sure we're hitting the muscles in different ways so they don't get used to one particular type of movement or workout.
Yeah, and to make sure that you're not getting burnt out, right? That's the biggest thing, is the physical burnout of doing the same thing so often, it's doable. Again, if we have clients that want to do a powerlifting meet, well, powerlifting meet is only 3 exercises. It's a squat, a bench press, and a deadlift. So you have to be very proficient at those exercises. But if we have somebody else coming in that wants to be proficient at life, then you don't have to be stuck to one particular movement all the time. You can have a movement pattern, right? Because every day you should be sitting on the toilet, which is a squat. So we have to train that pattern, but the way that we train it, we can do it differently. And I think that's definitely one thing. You want to be able to go heavy sometimes, but you also need to be able to make sure that your movement is good, so you have to focus on movement quality some days and all those little variables.
Outstanding. So jumping into, obviously, we can't talk about, peak state. We can't talk about, working out without talking about diet at all, right? And I know...
Yes.
So let's say I'm a listener and I'm like, listen, I want to lean up, put on some good muscle. I'm not trying to go do, a body lifting, not body lifting, like a heavy lift competition or anything like that. But I'm looking to just put on like solid muscle and lean muscle. Like, what are the types of things that I should be eating? How often? Like, some people are saying, hey, you know what, do these intermittent fasting or just never eat or eat too much, or like what? Yeah. What's your advice? So,
I mean, obviously the sort of cop-out answer is going to be it depends, right? It depends on the individual. Again, lifestyle. Are there any health considerations? What they can, blah, blah, blah. But just general standard advice. I mean, man, if you can't grow it, pick it off of a tree, or like butcher it, you probably shouldn't eat it, right? Now, I just picked up, now I'm going to throw myself under the bus right here. I was at the store the other day and I picked up a big old box of Pop-Tarts. Because they're really convenient for when we go hiking, right? Yep. They're already prepackaged. It's all carbs, which is just straight fuel for us to go, do a 12-mile hike. They're not good for you. We all know that.
They aren't? They say strawberry on there.
Strawberry flavoring. If you truly believe that Pop-Tarts are healthy, that's a whole different conversation. So my advice is eat as much as you can of the stuff that you cook at home. So if you buy something from the store and it's one ingredient, like rice or potatoes or steak or spinach, those are all good things, and you can pretty much eat as much as you want of it, because at some point your body's going to say, I've had enough. That's the beauty of natural food, is your brain, your stomach, all the chemicals going on in there, they're going to say, hey, I'm tapped out. Mm-hmm. I asked this question one time last fall, because apple picking season comes around. We all go apple picking up here in Maine, and it's one of the best times of the year.
My favorite time of the year up there. Yeah,
and so I would, and it's natural. You go out apple picking, you fill up your bag, but you eat an apple along the way. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever in my life eaten 2 apples in a row. And I put a question out to people on Instagram, and I asked that. I was like, how many people here have ever eaten more than like 1 or 2 apples in a row? And like 3 people responded, like, yeah, I ate 6 apples one time, but then I threw up. And I'm like, okay, well, that's your body telling you we don't need more apples. So eating that natural food, it's super, super convenient for your body to say, hey, that's enough, right? When I eat that Pop-Tart when I go hiking, I could probably eat another Pop-Tart. But when I eat an apple, my body's like, hey, that's it, we're good. Because the natural sugars in the food and the fiber in the skin is going to be a trigger for your brain to say, hey, we're good. Same thing with spinach. I've never eaten too much spinach. Same thing with like rice. I've never eaten too much rice unless it's fried rice from a Chinese food restaurant, and then you start to feel gross because of all the flavorings that they put in it. That's not really natural. Your body just keeps going until you feel sick. Same with Easter candy. Same with Thanksgiving dinner. You name it. But the natural whole foods, your body just cannot eat too much of it, it will shut off. And at some point, you're going to start to figure out, like, okay, this is how much I can eat without getting sick of it. And at that point, you're going to start to see results. You're going to start to see your body change. You'll start to see the body composition change. And we could talk about proteins, fats, carbohydrates, like how much protein does your body need. For most people, I would just say eat more than you think you should, because you're probably not eating enough as it is. And again, make sure that it's real. Make sure that it's whole food. Make sure that it is as clean and as healthy as possible. Bacon isn't really a protein. It's mostly fat. And it's delicious, but you don't need too much of that. But if you have a good cut of, some ground beef or some chicken or, tofu if you're vegan or vegetarian, all that stuff is good. You got to have it, but unless you're diving way deep in with a nutritionist to set up a specific meal plan, eat real food. 10 times out of 10, it's going to serve you well.
Outstanding. So if we're hearing you correct, if I have to jump on Google to try to put in an ingredient to try to figure out what the hell it is, I probably shouldn't be eating it?
That's probably true, yes. And by all means, indulge. Like I said, we bring Pop-Tarts on our hikes. That's cool. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to stick with the real foods.
Okay.
And that's not the big sexy answer. Yeah, that's not the big sexy answer, but like honest moderation and real food, that's going to get you almost as far as you want to go every single time.
Well, brother, that's the whole theme of this is all the information without the BS and fluff, man. This is what we're about. It's real info that you can literally take and put into effect tomorrow or today or as soon as you get off this, listening to this podcast and make a change. And that's what we need. And that's I think there's a lot of different, everybody wants to have a different strategy, and not saying that they're wrong or not saying that they're right, but when it comes down to foundational, and we're talking about today a lot about foundational principles, like what you're saying is keep it simple. And when your body says that's enough, that's enough. And if you're doing more, you probably, just like a vehicle, if you're going to drive further, you probably put a little bit more fuel in it. Otherwise, you run out of gas and your car stops.
Exactly. That's a perfect analogy right there.
So tell me a little bit about, like, I love that shirt, man. I need to get one. I need to get one or a couple. I'd love to. Maybe we can raffle one off too. We can think of something kind of fun to do where maybe one of the listeners or something, we can send it out there and get some shirts around the country.
Absolutely.
But tell us a little bit about Lift Heavy, Be Kind. I know you alluded to it. We talked a little bit about it, but like, how did it come about? What is the mission? What are you guys trying to do? Like, walk us through it, if you would.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the gym I work at, Iron Legion Strength Co., the owner, his name is Scott, and he's been lifting for years. Like I said, he owns some gyms in Miami. He grew up lifting in like New Jersey, New York, and stuff. And one of the stories he loves to tell is, I'm not going to get the details right, but basically he would go to the gym as a teenager, young adult, and not with a personal trainer, but just to the gym with a buddy, and he'd be lifting, and someone would come up to him and say, "Hey, do you want some help? Like, I can show you how to do this, do that." And it was always the people that were willing to help were always the big, scary-looking dudes that he would have never approached on his own, but these guys would come and approach him, and they'd offer their help. And this is like New Jersey in the 80s. Scott, you're not that old, so if I get the years wrong, sorry, but
he's listening, man. Be careful.
90s, in the 90s, but like these are some big, scary bad guys, but they're super nice. And so all these years later, he owns a gym up in Maine, and now he's the big scary dude. He's got a beard, he's got tattoos, but he's also got this big smile, this warm, friendly handshake. He's very inviting and welcoming and warm. And so it's just one of those perfect combinations of we want to look and feel tough, right? And our gym is kind of gritty. We've got spray paint on the walls. It's in an old mill building. We play heavy metal, so it feels like it should, or it looks like it should feel intimidating. But then you meet with a coach, and that coach has that same friendly handshake and warm smile. Obviously, I don't have a big beard, but we got that dichotomy of lift heavy, which to some people implies look scary, but then we have that very kind demeanor. We do charity events throughout the year, and we make sure that we help people. Even if it's not my client, I'll still give people tidbits of advice. So it's that perfect dichotomy of actually lifting heavy for whatever that perception is, or whatever is relative to you, and then also making sure that we're going the extra mile to put people at ease and make sure that they feel comfortable at our gym, and then they can spread that as well, right? We want that to be spread out throughout our community as well. So that's how Lift Heavy Be Kind came about, and it's our by far our best-selling T-shirt. So
outstanding, man! I love that.
Yeah.
Lifting success through lifting others up, like that's exactly what it's all about.
And that's
right?
That's the other piece of it, right? Yeah, lifting others up. Yeah.
A rising tide lifts all ships, right, guys and gals? It's not my saying. It's one that I've borrowed. It's one that it's become one of my mantras. And what you guys are saying is exactly, I feel like what it's all about, right? Is like you're bringing people in, and it's that you're going against the grain, right? You've got this gritty place. People are walking in. They're expecting folks grunting, throwing stuff everywhere,
right.
Bashing the heads on the walls and stuff. And it's like, hey, how are you guys doing?
Right.
And you're creating that's incredible. And then you're taking that and you're taking it out into the community. You're bringing more people in. You're maybe taking that, the Jaws in the back of people's mind, right? What Jaws did for people in the ocean. You're taking that out of the gym. They're like, oh my gosh, look at these big fit, I don't know how I could get there. And then you're bringing that kindness with it as well. Like, listen, if this is a path you want to go on, this is where we can bring you.
For sure. No, and that's exactly what it is. It has to be, it goes back to that confidence piece too, right? We want people to feel like they are absolute total badasses in the gym, right? We celebrate the PRs. We want them lifting heavy. We want them feeling like they can do anything, like they can run through a wall, and then taking that out into the real world with that confidence, that run through a wall mentality, and do everything they can to better their life and better the life of their family, but do it with a smile on their face and a friendly handshake. So it's that, and that 100 times out of 100, that's going to get you further in life anyway, is being nice. So for sure, we're going to extol that virtue all the time.
I love it, man. And that's one of the things my kids, I'm like, man, if I learned anything, please and thank you will bring you so far. Leading with your give before your ask. Another one, what can you do to help others before you go and say, hey, I need this, hey, I need that, hey, I need that. It's here's what I can bring of value, and this is where I'm struggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help each other.
That's huge. Yep.
Okay. So, what do you want to say to those guys and gals out there who are consistently skipping leg day? Yeah, we went there. Leg day.
Consistently skipping leg day. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything to say to them. I have 3 leg days a week, so I don't have much left to say right there. I got squats and deadlifts on the docket for later today too, so no, but for real, it's one of those things, it needs to be done. So from a scientific standpoint, they've done studies. I couldn't name the study off the top of my head, but lower body strength as you get older is one of the key indicators of longevity. The stronger your legs are, the longer your life is. The reason being, you think of your grandparents or, someone who's elderly. If you trip and fall, and we've all heard stories, right? So-and-so tripped and fell and they broke their hip. They ended up in the hospital. They got pneumonia and they passed away. Mm-hmm. Now, not saying that that's the case all the time, and not saying that having a really heavy squat is going to save you from that, but you're less likely to trip if you have strong legs because you're going to have faster reflexes and better ability to catch yourself before falling. And lifting helps increase bone density, which means you're less likely to break a bone. So if you do fall, you're less likely to break your hip. So if that right there is not enough of a case to not skip leg day, then I mean, clearly you just don't care.
I mean, I don't know though. Like the other day, I was at the grocery store, and this dude was huge. Like if it was behind like a desk, I'd be like, man, this guy. And then like those little legs.
Walk out from the
pretty
corner.
Cool.
Yeah, no.
Not to speak badly of anybody. There may be a few of you out there, and that's cool. That's your thing. But you heard it right here from Mr. John Fitness Janson. You want to live longer? That's what you got to do. It's a big muscle group. You got to feed. You got to feed it.
Exactly. And the other big benefit to it too is, like you said, it's a big muscle group. When you're doing leg exercises, you're going to burn more calories. You're going to build more muscle, which is going to increase your body's ability to keep burning calories too. So if you're looking to lose weight, leg exercises are the way to go because they're going to increase muscle mass, which increases calorie consumption, which means you will be burning fat even when you're not working out. That's pretty sweet.
Interesting. So, kind of personal one here for you. What's on your playlist when you work out?
Playlist obviously is going to depend on the mood, right? I definitely have a heavy metal playlist with, you got Disturbed, you got a little bit of Metallica in there, I guess. But, dude, the thing I've been doing lately, I'm lifting without music.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Not all the time. And if there are other coaches around, they might have, some Eminem or some other kind of rap on or whatever. But if it's my choice, I like to, honestly, it helps me get in the zone even more. Because I don't need to be necessarily hyped up and like losing my shit over whatever song is playing. I need to get focused, and the best way for me to focus is silence or relative silence. So actually, I lift without music or with the music on, pretty low level more often than not. But also Slipknot is great too, so, you got to have that balance.
Exactly. Life is all about balance, right? Just like we were talking about. You don't want to be the guy tipping over at the grocery store when the wind blows, right? Same thing here. You want to give and take, right? A little bit of classical, a little bit of quiet, a little bit of rock, a little bit of whatever gets you going to get that next rep, but focus in and put in the effort.
Get that effort.
So what's next for you? You're doing some absolutely incredible things in the space. Your guys' company is focusing on the right stuff, right? You're really focusing on people and changing them from the inside out, right? Not just the outside in. And what does that look like? Like what types of big differences in people's lives and does 2022, the rest of 2022, really hold for you guys?
Yeah. Well, we are working on building out a second location, which we aim to have open by the end of this year. And again, it's just, we're in Westbrook, Maine. It's just outside of Portland. It's not a huge population center by any means compared to, places like Florida. So it's how can we be more convenient and reach more people? And that's, have other locations where people can get to us a little bit quicker. Because half of what we've talked about today is time and routine and the actual ability to get somewhere. So if something is 5 minutes down the road from your work versus 20 minutes away from home, it's a no-brainer. You're going to the place that's 5 minutes away. So if we've got a second, third location, we'll be able to reach that many more people and teach them the benefits of lifting heavy and being kind.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Continuing
to multiply that message across the masses.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
So, last question. So let's say I'm a listener, right? And I love everything I've been hearing. I love, you guys' message. I love, and maybe I don't have that in my life. Maybe I'm not seeing that. Maybe I'm not around that type of community. What are some different ways that I could maybe get a hold of you, to discuss mindset, fitness, maybe someone that can help keep me accountable, right? Maybe I'm in the local area and I could be trained by you, or maybe I'm somewhere else in the country. Like, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure. Well, and to that point too, we do offer online training, right? So we can meet up and develop a plan for someone wherever they are.
Okay.
Easiest way is going to be Instagram.
Okay.
That's sort of where our lifeblood is these days. So our gym is Iron Legion Strength Co. My name, John Janson. Either one of those, you can reach out to me personally or through the gym page. And then if you look us up online, you find my email, my phone number right on our website. So we're more than happy to work with people, like you said, whether it's an actual fitness routine, whether it's specific nutrition stuff. A few of our coaches deal with nutrition specifically in addition to personal training, or if it's mindset, stress management, building out whatever your morning routine should look like. And Scott and I we've been at this for 7 years, so we know fitness really well, but we've also built out a really good business too, not to toot our own horns too hard. But so if somebody's looking to build out their own personal business, their own personal brand, they're trying to grow whatever business they already have going, we're always more than happy to chat with people and bounce ideas around and give our 2 cents.
I love that, man. That's, again, like you guys said, it's just what you say, and I love what you say is what you do, right? And you do what you say. So y'all are saying, hey, we've built this culture, right? And we can help you with your lifting. We can help you with whatever you need there. But also taking it even, peeling the layers of that onion back even further, it's going back to the theme of today, right? Foundation is at the foundation. This is a business, and you guys are absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
You're killing it.
Yeah. Well, that's
incredible.
It is just a business. It's not just a business, but it is just a business, just like any other business. It could be a bakery, it could be a hardware store, whatever. And end of the day, you got to be able to reach your people, your target demographic, and speak to them, and then deliver on what you speak about. Right? That's the name of the game.
I love it. So before we sign off, brother, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Dude, we got to give a shout out to Austin, your little brother. He's over there in North Carolina just doing his thing. I think his donkey just had a baby.
I know.
I never would have thought I'd be putting those words, but it's awesome, man. Gotta love that kid. So if he ever listens to this, definitely giving him a shout out for being the awesome guy that he is, for sure.
Likewise, dude. Absolutely awesome, brother, man. And he's the one that brought us all together. He's the catalyst. He's the glue, and we talk daily, almost. At least a couple times a week, and that's what it's about. You got to keep that circle small, and you got to take care of your people, and
for sure.
Family is everything.
The community
family
tight.
Is everything.
Yes, indeed it is.
Awesome.
For sure, man.
Brother. Well, thank you again for your time.
Yeah.
This was
my pleasure.
Insane value. I hope that, you guys out there and gals out there, I hope you took a little thing. Maybe you took a lot of things. But it's all about, like John has been talking about, and like we've been talking about, those little millimeter shifts, right? As Malcolm Gladwell talks about, it's a tipping point, right? That tipping point, that little thing that pushes you over the edge and could completely change the direction your life or your business are going in. So, as we talked about, John and I go way, way back, and it is just absolutely insanely incredible to see the lives that he's changing, impacting how they're building their business. They're focusing on value, focusing on helping people, which is super, super, super important. Again, not my quote, but one that I stay very true to is a rising tide lifts all ships. So every single episode, what we're looking to do here, guys and gals, is we're looking to bring you the tactics behind the strategy right? And cut through all the BS and fluff to bring you the people that are getting it done so that you can continue to level up in your life and in your biz. So if you like the podcast, please leave us a comment, share it with your friends, follow the Facebook, Instagram page. We are streaming now on all platforms, okay? And so all of our contact information is in the show description here, and all of John's information will be as well. So I know there's going to be a lot of people that have questions or different things that they heard, or they're like, man, maybe I need to get a nutrition plan, or maybe I need an accountability coach, or maybe I just need that help with that millimeter shift. You'll be able to get a hold really easily with John. Hopefully he's going to be changing his Instagram handle to Mr. John Fitness Janson. I'm putting that out there. I'm going to coin that right there.
You get credit.
But lastly, if you are in the real estate biz and you're looking for a change, you want to level up again in your life and your business, you're more than welcome to shoot us an Instagram message as well. Our real estate team currently serves, the bigger team I'm part of serves the entire state of Florida. My particular team serves Miami and the Keys. So we would love to have a conversation and see if it's something that we can do to help you to increase your level of life and enjoyment of life. So until next time, this is Lucas Rowell signing out, wishing you everlasting success in your life and in your real estate biz. Thanks, John.
Thank you.